Hey everyone, this is episode number 675 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. Hot tags of the week. Kind of, I don't know, hence the graphic on your screen. I am Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert D. Felice.
Hey.
And Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And we're not sure if we should even do an episode today. Obviously, we did not do an episode of the main event worth of, side of the podcast this week in any kind of traditional format. Plan was to do plenty different things. We had a plan for Tuesday night that I didn't think was a really good idea to do at the time, and I'm glad that I didn't. And all the noises in the background, you guys get to hear the construction on top of this. That's fantastic. We did a couple bonus episode things recently, which I had already said was not going to be the only thing that we did this week, and that ended up being the case. I always like being transparent on this podcast. I don't know if we should do an episode. I don't know if that's the best thing for you and for us. There's a very kind of different mindset you can take to different things. That is part of it. That's a major part of it. Guy123 in the chat, thank you for joining us. You can make an argument that the best thing for everybody to do is to try to find comfort in stuff instead of just going down a very dark hole. I know politics are not something that this podcast is supposed to be about, but when podcasts are life and politics are life, and they interfere with things and they make things the way that they are, then you can't ignore the world around you. And sometimes it's good to have a distraction. Sometimes it's good to address things head on. I don't quite know what our responsibility is for now, let alone going forward. That's something we're going to have to figure out together. Like the three of us, that's something we're going to have to figure out, all of us. And I know that politics are not something that you want to hear about on every podcast. But then, who knows? So there is no plan for this episode. This was not at all a plan. I had planned on a couple days ago, my only plan was, let's talk about the Parade of Champions trademark from AEW. That's as far as I got. And I didn't write down hot tags. I don't know what my mood is going to be. I don't know if I'll just want to stop this midway through. I don't know how Rob and Callum are going to feel, but at any opportunity, if they want to bow out, they have every single right to, and if anybody listening doesn't want to listen, then they don't have to either, and we're gonna see what happens. I'm not unmuting my phone, so if you hear these beeps that were just happening, that's me checking in with my wife. I am gonna take some deep breaths, and we'll see what happens. You're gonna hear me eating because I have a sandwich in front of me. You go ahead and leave your guesses in the comments below what you think this sandwich is. If you guess it correctly, you win a no prize. I'll pass one of those off from Stan Lee. I don't know if you guys want to take your guess of what this sandwich is or not.
It depends, because I'm just trying to think about if you had like good stuff for a sandwich in your house as it is, or if you actually tried to get up and go out.
I mean, I went shopping on Saturday or Sunday, I forget.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna BLT.
You got none of that right. I was gonna say you got one of those letters right, but you didn't.
I got the B for bread.
That's not what the B stands for in a BLT. I mean, why isn't it a BBLT then?
I guess because the bread is a given.
Oh, then we start getting into the whole debate about whether or not a hot dog is a sandwich or a taco
It's
is a
not.
sandwich.
It is its own thing. It's a hot dog.
Oh, you're gonna take that? Okay, we're maybe we'll have a debate. I am full blown hot dogs a sandwich. Right.
I it's
Callum, you need to be the difference maker here. It's Mount Rushmore rules.
I think I'll take the populist positions. I think the hot dog should be deported.
It's fine.
Have I won yet? Have I won yet?
Clearly, you've won.
Do I need to grab it? Do I need hot dog one pussy as well? Do I need that before I win?
We can't have any unlicensed German things here or something, right? I like the debate that people. Oh fuck! It just dropped. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I like the debate that people have. Yes, it's just snack talk right now. Where people say everything that's food is either soup, salad, or sandwich. Do you guys ever come across that?
Never, but I understand the concept. Just hearing that.
And like the more that you dive into like the craziness of it, the more it makes sense. Because it's like, okay, well, soup, salad, or sandwich. Clearly, like a taco, a hot dog, that's a sandwich. If you had to stick to those three. Pizza? Okay, you can start to debate. Is pizza a sandwich because it's got bread? Well, is it folded over? No. Is a calzone a sandwich? Calzone's a sandwich. But then what's the other stuff? And like pasta, it's a salad. Because you take all the ingredients and you mix it together in like a bowl or something. And like I've seen full on debates about people being like, let's talk about this idea. And, whether it's like, okay, chili is a soup. And I clearly have a sandwich in front of me. I haven't taken a bite yet, but you'll hear that obviously if you hear crunching. But yeah, leave your comments about what you think my stupid sandwich is, and that'll be part of our discussion.
Well, okay, let's. And in saying all of this, and the reason for the intro, well, it's very clear this is not. We don't get on here and talk about politics much. Did a couple weeks ago because Trump was on Taker's podcast. But this is an extension of our lives and our personalities. And even before the politics and then everything that happened on Tuesday night, none of that's been going great. Which is why, we weren't sure what this was going to be. But in full transparency, I think we've been kind of pulling each other out of different ruts for the whole year, let alone the last week. And that is what this podcast is more than anything.
If there's one thing that when it comes to Smark Out Moment that I can be at least a little bit proud of. Because it's certainly not the recognition. It's certainly not the complete lack of money. It's certainly not the lack of progress. And even the, like, fun, let me explore my ideas element of it, since I don't get an opportunity to do that as much as I would hope to. If there's one thing that I actually am proud of, and that's the reason why we're even doing this episode right now, it's because I've had more messages or discussions with people over the however many years that we've been doing this, saying that this is a source of comfort for them. Whether that's like us, just like us being friends and like building friendships, and but before we got started to do this, I sent Drew an audio wishing him a happy birthday. Everybody wish happy birthday to Drew. Or if it's people that have reached out, and I'm not going to say who has said what or something because it's not on my Isn't my prerogative to mention what anybody said. But people that have reached out and said things like, hey, this podcast helped me through a really depressive episode, or you guys are like dependable friends for me to listen to every week or something. So sometimes it's very hard, and this is definitely one of those times, and I don't know if it's going to get any easier to like put aside our own stuff and be kind of entertaining. It's partially our responsibility to do that because it's just supposed to be ultimately an entertaining type of thing. You know, it's supposed to be half entertaining, half informative. I think we lean more towards the entertaining side of it. We're not like, let's break down the numbers of the ratings from AEW and NXT this week. We didn't even know who like did better or anything. I didn't even look at it.
NXT did better. I don't know by how much. I know they got in these 600,000. Dynamite was somewhere in the 500,000s. That's about as much as I know.
I know I couldn't watch both at the same time. And I had to prioritize NXT because I was doing coverage. But it wasn't really a great episode.
I haven't watched it yet.
And I don't nobody's ever said anything that I've read about the AEW episode being all that great, but then again, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. Was there anything on AEW this week that was like worth checking out?
Powerhouse Hobbs came back.
Yes,
that's good, and he's babyface now. He had a match he teamed up with Ricochet to take on the Don Callis family, and they got the win. So that's good news that he's back in the fold.
He's not a part of the Don Callis family at all anymore, right?
Yeah, no, that was kind of their moment to break it up. Go ahead, Gal.
Yeah, the kind of story was that his contract lapsed in October with the Don Callis family, and so he was kind of like free to wrestle against them now, and so he's kind of joined up with like Ospreay and Ricochet and Mark Davis and that crew. So it's kind of like the group that's going up against the Don Callis family right now.
The Don Callis family civil war. Gonna offset that civil war, right? We're gonna be blood and guts next.
I thought for the second straight week, Adam Cole had a very underwhelming match, and I know it's early, but I've kind of lost faith in him probably ever returning back to what he used to be. I just think that his matches have devolved into a lot of kind of melodrama over actual in-ring stuff, and that's really compromising any kind of enjoyment out of it. I'm really not looking forward to the match that he's going to have with MJF, because MJF also leans heavily into the melodrama when he has the opportunity to do so.
Not that Roderick wouldn't in this case, but you don't think they'll go for the three-way?
I'd be more entertained by that, because at least Roderick Strong would.
At this point, I want the three-way. So, for context, Tony, they basically addressed the whole race to 3 wins and said that if they both get 3 wins, then it's a three-way at Full Gear.
Yeah. But in order to get to that point, they've MJF's big final roadblock for Adam Cole to get the final victory is that he's got to face Takeshita next week on Dynamite. And Takeshita already take the pin on against Ricochet in that tag team match, so I'd be surprised if he had Takeshita lose again. But necessarily it doesn't mean that him losing to Takeshita means that he doesn't get the match at Full Gear, because there's still a couple of weeks before that, so he could lose that match and then win another match that MJF didn't specify.
Now, did they say it?
MJF didn't specify it's 3
consecutive.
I think that they've stuck to the kind of rhetoric that's the first 3 wins gets the match with MJF. So if Roderick Strong got 3 wins before Adam Cole, then he would, even if Adam Cole got 3 wins, it would still be Roddy got there first. So I think they might try something where like they have Takeshita beat Adam Cole and it feels like it's all over, and then MJF arranges something that Roderick Strong fails to win a match on Collision or something, and so he's stuck on 2, and so they decide, well, the only way we're going to prove this is be both face each other, and whoever wins gets MJF.
See, but then
I think that's still the route they might go down.
but I feel like that's
Everything,
lame.
well, everything Adam Cole's done since he came back is lame, so it doesn't really surprise me.
Okay, look, and yeah, I'm obviously gonna go to bat for Adam Cole here, but like it's been 2 matches, and I saw a take from Stephanie Chase on Twitter on Malachi Black that was scathing, but also, hey man, if the shoe fits. That was only his third.
Don't get me wrong. I don't blame that either. So yeah.
Yeah, no, like that was only his third match apparently, singles match in the fucking company, or like on Dynamite.
No, a company. Not in a while, because obviously he was having a fair number of singles matches when he was in the feud with Cody and stuff like that. I think it's like in the last like couple of years or so. He's only had 3 single matches.
It's just like, what is the deal there? And then you talk about melodrama. That ending was like, wait, is he leaving? And then he got upset because people thought he was leaving, and it's like, you made a big hurrah when you lost the match.
Yeah, I mean, you lost the match. You had Adam Cole kick out of your finisher, like, and very very rarely did anyone kick out of like the Black Mass or whatever it's called now. I can't remember. But and then like hugged Adam Cole, showed respect to him. Adam Cole called him like a great guy on the way out. It's like, oh yeah, this is obviously Malachi Black leaving, and so he goes on to Instagram saying, "Oh, I'm not leaving." It's like, well, and don't blame the fans for assuming you're leaving by doing all the traits of somebody who's about to leave the company. So
Didn't Brody
and also
even say something of like, I'm gonna?
Yeah, like he was yeah, but he was doing it sarcastically, like, oh man, I'm gonna miss Malachi Black since I heard he's never ever gonna wrestle again, and I'm gonna join a traveling circus and get 2 cats to reenact Ricochet and Malachi Black in the ring because I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm so sad. Like it was just, it's a whole big like, it's a whole circle jerk of like, fuck the internet. And look, man, I get it, I do, I understand that, but as a fan who just wants to, read into things amongst other fans, and 2, as somebody who sometimes has to write articles on these things, can you not shit on people when you're clearly trying to bait them?
I mean, I can see myself doing something similar in that position if I were them, about just like, oh my god, everybody reports fake stuff and I'm gonna mess around with them.
Yeah, but I also don't think that you're gonna go out of your way to do a performance that makes it seem like, hey, I'm gonna leave just to bait people, and then go, but I'm so mad they took the bait. Like,
I did see a clip of the
I also don't think
Malachi Black thing, and I was like, well, I don't know exactly why people are going full blown that he's leaving, but I can see why they would think that has the similar tone. But I
also don't think I don't think the rumors surrounding Malachi Black are false either. I think he just wants people to think they're false. He makes a big show about it. That he refuses to job to people, and that he wants to leave.
Yeah, that's the
I
same
think both
fucking
those
thing
things.
people
I
said
think
about-
yeah, I'll just say I think both of those things are true, and he just uses the fact that he's still there and that he occasionally loses a match to kind of justify the fact that that's not true. It's like, Kevin Nash sometimes lost matches to Rey Mysterio. It doesn't mean that he didn't just bury people away going in WCW. It's like, that's what people do. But Hulk Hogan always hung his hat on the fact that like he lost to Billy Kidman that one time. Like, oh, okay, so you lose one match every like 5-10 years or so, and so you're not like holding the entire roster down.
I mean, I could see a lot of reasons why he would want to leave, and I could see a lot of reasons why it's not even worth it. Like, if he wants to be in the same company as his wife, that's a huge difference in like scheduling and stuff and all. But I don't think he's going to be in a higher spot in WWE than he is in AEW right now. So it's not like I'm going to go back there and immediately win a title, even like United States title or something. Like, I think he'd be in pretty much the same spot. And
that's not the reason though. But the reason is that like he wants to be at the the bigger company, and like losing people at the bigger company doesn't mean as much as losing people in AEW.
Yeah, I mean,
so
totally could see that.
So that's like that same rationale that Rusev had, that Miro, that same rationale that Andrade had for a long time. It's like they just see WWE, and rightly or wrongly, they see WWE as like that's just the end game right there. So what I'm doing now is just biding my time until I can go back there. But I can't lose that many matches before I get there, because then I'll look like I'm in a low position and they won't want to take me back. So yeah, I think that's always been Malachi's mindset. Because I don't think that you willingly keep a guy that can be as good as Malachi Black out of the ring in a singles match without any reason. Like, there must be some mitigating factor to it.
Or
I just think
the idea of like that his contract's supposed to be up potentially at the end of this year or the beginning of next year or multiple years from now. That's another element of this that's kind of like, all right, well, then what are we supposed to believe? When it comes to that too. Like, even if he is clear to leave sometime soon, it doesn't mean he's going to want to. And if he wants to, it doesn't mean that he's necessarily able to. So there are two different avenues. He either stays or he leaves. And we're not going to know where that goes until the hammer drops.
Boy, that's some real covering your bases.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it is what it is. Even when you think that something's an absolute certainty, it clearly doesn't necessarily mean it is. We had a question in the chat from Guy Went to Rob, have you heard of a person called Millennial Smark?
I will not get into. I'm not getting into that on this podcast. Nope, not even a little.
Who that is?
You either. Well, you don't, Tony. Tell him. Have you heard of Millennial Smark?
No, why would I?
Okay, then we're gonna leave it right there.
I'm just imagining it's I imagine it is someone who's just like a chronically online wrestling fan. Yeah, like some sort of chronically online wrestling fan.
I see Millennial Smark channel deleted a year ago.
Yeah, and he if I start talking, then I'm gonna get into it.
Oh, we don't have to talk about it.
But yes, I do know who that is. Guy 123. I knew who he was before he was on YouTube too. And I'll leave it there.
Ashton in the chat, what's up, guys? Just finished the midterm, and thank God it's my week off. What was the midterm for? Hopefully you did a really good job. Thank you for being in the chat the other day, Ash, by the way.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit ago about the Roderick Strong and Adam Cole thing.
I'd rather not. Do we have to go back to it?
I didn't present this one idea. I would like to. I don't really like this feud, and it's hard to be. Again, let's just be transparent here. It's hard to be into anything right now for a lot of different reasons. For me, like I haven't watched a single TikTok video or anything that I've watched a full season of I Think You Should Leave, and didn't laugh a single time. And like, that's way like my mindset is right now. Plenty of people are not, and we'll see where the chips fall. But as much as I am not entertained by anything, and I don't want to watch SmackDown tonight and all, ignore that element. I wasn't super into the Adam Cole and MJF feud prior to Saturday. But the thing that would be interesting to me would be if it is a triple threat, and if this leads to Adam Cole and Roderick Strong getting into something, and Strong basically is like, okay, I'm going to abandon Adam Cole now. And Cole has a feud with Roderick Strong after this. And it's Strong Taven and Bennett against Cole, and he doesn't have any friends. Then maybe they could do something with that. I don't know if that's the best idea, or if it's better to just go into like, okay, Adam Cole should just beat MJF and then we move on or something. I still ultimately would rather see Adam Cole paired with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly and whatever, but Bobby Fish isn't there. He's never going to probably come back with that, and that's okay. Maybe it's just the three of them, and they're the undisputed trio or something. Statistics, man, I'm not a statistics fan, Ash. I took a statistics class in college, and I was bored out of my skull. Still one of the only classes that I actually learned anything from, though. From my college was a complete waste of time. I'll give you a college story for anybody that wants to laugh. I had one of my like English lit or whatever teachers, I forget the name of the class itself, who, and keep in mind throughout this is an English course. This is a, literature based thing. So it's reading and writing and analysis and all. She was so dumb that she...
How dumb was she?
She wrote up on the board, REN, stopped, stared at the board, went to go write another letter, turned around to the class and said, "Wait, guys, how do you spell Renaissance?"
I knew that's the word you were going for.
And I was like, wow, that's really dumb. And then a few weeks later, she was like, saying something about a fjord. And she was like, "Wait, how do you spell fjord?" And I was like, God damn, like she's really whatever. And then a few weeks after that, she didn't show up to class. And it's like kind of an unwritten rule for, I don't know if anybody still does this anymore, at least in 2005, or no, 2006 is when I think I had her. At least around that time in my neck of the woods of the United States, it might not be the same case anymore. And it might not have been the same in like other countries and stuff, but there was sort of an unwritten rule where if it's 15 minutes past when the class had started or was supposed to start and the teacher didn't show up, everybody just leaves. And it's like, all right, fuck you. We gave you 15 minutes. You're late to your own class. Screw you. She did that one time. Everybody just left. And of course she was all upset about it. Like why was everybody not here and stuff. But then she said that the reason why was because she locked her keys in her house and didn't have the keys to the car. So she went to borrow her neighbor's car and locked the keys in the car.
Oh my God.
And it was like, God damn it. Like, what? And you're my teacher,
It almost doesn't seem real. Like it almost seems like
a bit.
Yeah, like a sitcom.
Yeah.
A mid 2000s like
to some
blonde can't figure out her way
blonde.
through life. Of course she was. Like it doesn't seem real at all.
I'll give you a mental image of her too. She also tended to wear those really big boots, like the fuck me boots is what I used to always call them. I don't know another term for them, but like the big black leather boots. She'd wear that to class. It was just like, all right, you clearly want attention. I don't know what she's up to these days. I hope she's figured out how to spell by now. But,
well, now she has many devices that'll tell her.
Yeah, if she can use them. Maybe she locked herself out of the screen.
But yeah,
I kind of went Adam Cole and Roger Strong to, do something interesting. But
well, the Kyle O'Reilly aspect of this, no one's touched. Like he's watching them every week, so they're gonna eventually do something. He is going to eventually do something with them, and I hope it's. I'll be honest. I know everybody else has like completely moved on and basically said they have their blinders off when it comes to Black and Gold NXT. I don't really fucking care. Like that was like such a fun time for me that I would just like to see Cole and O'Reilly and Strong together while they can be. You know what I mean? Like that would be a nice thing.
if they do have that happen in the future, that implies at least that Kyle O'Reilly would leave the conglomeration. And I don't know how certain people feel about that either, because it seems like they're popular enough that I could see people being like, well, I don't want that to happen because I like Kyle O'Reilly in there. I kind of look at it and say, like, I don't know. I mean, everybody has their ebbs and flows when it comes to whether or not a stable should stick around forever. Conglomeration doesn't strike me as something that I think needs to be exactly the way that it is
like,
right
and
now.
it really exists as like this fringe thing, and I think everybody in the conglomeration would be better suited focusing on their own thing. I guess that's the point of a conglomeration, is they can conglomerate whenever they want and then break apart. But I think, to Callum's earlier point, there's been a lot of melodramatic with Adam Cole stuff, and I just want to get back to the wrestling. Like Copeland, for example, gave me a much better run in AEW than he did towards the end of his WWE run, and I want more of that from Adam Cole. And I don't know. I guess once we get the MJF shit out of the way, we'll be back to where we need to be. A great thing that they could do would be Strong versus MJF versus Cole, with the winner getting some type of championship match, so that it has some stakes other than this weird non-love triangle, but that's totally was presented at one point like a love triangle. Yeah, that's my take. That's my take on the whole thing, because I still like all three guys. Like, obviously I have an affinity for Cole for the NXT stuff and his Ring of Honor stuff. Prior to that, I liked Maxwell up until he became, I can't even say up until he became champion, but like up until the Brochacho stuff started, I really liked both of those guys. And I think the one who's benefited the most is Roddy. Roddy's been able to show some personality and have some fun with it. And I think I'd rather see them do the three-way to get it all out of the way and then just move the fuck on. And I'll answer guy 1, 2, 3 now. So here's the deal, dude. I met Devontae in 2012. All right, like I met him way before he became like Super MAGA, which obviously I don't agree with. If you spent 5 seconds around me, I don't agree with that. But Devontae and I had a lot of we just spent a lot of time together when we were teenagers and into our early 20s. A lot of fun memories from those friendships. I will say this. We did not watch TLC 2012 together because he out and out refused to watch the show with us. I ended up watching it either on my own or with some other friends because he was just like not to watch the show. And then he wanted to go back and watch it when we told him the Shield match kicked all kinds of ass. But yes, I have known Devontae for many, many years. Saw that whole blow up they went through like 2 weeks ago on Twitter. Didn't like seeing that at all. And yeah, that's that.
Here's another AEW topic. It's the only hot tag I had written down ahead of time. So I might just stick with AEW and I now bounce around. They have a new trademark, AEW Parade of Champions.
Look, can they possibly top the Macy's parade around Thanksgiving? Are we gonna get like some, giant floats? I want to see a float of Ishii and a float of a little parade balloon of Orange Cassidy. Wouldn't you want to see these things?
Now I'm immediately thinking there's a couple people that would make an interesting float. It's just
Ishii's one.
It's like, yeah, the Orange Cassidy one with the little thumbs up, that could be kind of funny. I'd be down to see a float of Harley Cameron.
I think having like a Mercedes kind of float with.
I couldn't do that because that they play their music when they do this, and I wouldn't want to have a whole.
Well, I'm thinking
worth of CEO.
You remember the little dog she came out with at what's called it One Night Only. Yeah. I think that'd be cute. But no, Parade of Champions is probably going to be like some, one night all titles are defended kind of gimmick. That'd be fun. I'm down for that.
Hey, you want to hear a story about humans being good? We'll do
Why
that
not?
on this podcast.
No, they don't seem to draw crowds. So I figured-
It might not be popular. At least 10 million people would not like it as much. The wife, everybody knows her name's Caroline. She was just at Publix and went to a bakery to get something. She says the bakery dude started talking to me, and I said about my dad being in the hospital, whatever, and I hadn't eaten yet, so he gave her free cookies.
Hey, we love Publix in this on this podcast because they have great cookies, they have great brownies, they're a Florida staple. Publix is fucking great, man.
And she just sent me a picture of like a donut that looks really good. So.
I don't know, guys. It sounds pretty woke to me.
Yeah, fucking cookies. How dare you try to help someone have a better day?
Care for your fellow human being and do something nice.
Yeah. That's like that sounds just like the liberal agenda. I mean, at least tell me this guy was white.
I mean, it's Florida, so it's good.
Ash says, I think Shelton's new theme is one of my favorites already. I hadn't listened to it, to be honest. Each time that he's come out, I have been like kind of doing something else, like washing a dish or something, so I didn't really like hear it. I might have to...
Well, hold on. He's being little. That sounds very dismissive, but he's being very literal. He is usually like eating around that time.
Yeah, I thought it was like, wait a minute, what's the problem here? No, I'm usually like, as much as I like to try to. It's funny, like here's another I'm all over the fucking place today, and everybody's gonna have to deal with it.
It's less of a hot tag, more of a grab bag.
It's a Darkcast. It's an all talk show. It's a snack talk. It's a whatever. That's why the graphic for this episode is just IDK on a black background, because I'm like, I don't know if it's fucking hot tags or what. And it's the episode's labeled hot tag 675 or whatever. Shit, what I was just about to say. As much as I'm the type of person that if somebody says like, all right, it's supposed to be 6 o'clock, that's when we want everybody to be here, I'll be like, all right, I'll arrive at 5:30. And I'm, to me, if I arrive at like 5:50, I'm running late, let alone if I'm there at 6 o'clock or 6:10 or something. So for some reason though, I have been like struggling with that the past few years. Like it's just time slips away super fast and all. And I find myself being like, all right, I'll start making dinner around like 7 o'clock, and then I'll be done making it at 7:30, and then I'll be able to eat, and then I'll be done eating and stuff around by the time 7:50 comes. And it's like so inevitable on like, say like a Tuesday night, especially where I end up having to do the NXT coverage, and it's like a little bit harder to do. I'll end up being like, fuck, all right, it's 7:15. Let me go get started. This took a little bit longer to do, so now it's 7:45 and I'm starting to eat. And then I'll be like, so that's why I always end up being like, I was probably washing dishes around that time, because it's like so often it'll be like 8:05 or 8:10 or something. And I'm currently in the middle of a discussion of like, nah, I'll take care of the dishes. You go like take care of something else or something. And then it'll be like, hey, real quick, can you just tell me who's on the screen? And Caroline will be like, and I should just record some of her responses sometimes, because it'll be like, hey, who's on the screen right now? I can't see who's talking. And she'll be like, it's a dude with kind of like his hair looks like he's made out of pineapples. And there's another dude, and he's got like, he kind of seems like he might smell like wet garbage on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm like, that's very specific, but I kind of know who you're talking about. Like, I'll be like, is that so-and-so? And she'll be like, oh yeah, that did just pop up on the screen. So I might have to start writing down the things that she, we've discussed about it before. Like she's equated people to like unseasoned chicken or like, whatever. I forget who she called unseasoned chicken.
The Miz.
Oh, it was The Miz?
I was
going to say, I thought it was like Bliss or something.
No, it was The Miz. No, time blindness is a real thing, and I am. First of all, I'm just bad with time management in general. But like, I do the same thing where I'm like, all right, it is 7. I have to watch Raw at 8. Let me start dinner. Holy shit, it's 7:45 and everything is barely ready. I guess I'm gonna be late to sitting down at the computer. It just time slips away from you, and it always does. I mean, but probably not Callum. Callum's a very organized individual, and I envy that.
I'm not very. I just can do certain things in a very organised way. In general, I'm a bit of just let things happen. Really, for the most part.
Guy123 in the chat asking if any of us have seen Moose versus Mike Bailey. I would be the only one who watches Impact on this channel, and because Jeremy Lambert over at Fightful already had a pre-rate on that match, I did turn it off, so I did not see it yet. But I do know that they have the full match on their YouTube channel, so I'll check it out at some point.
There's
And
all the finish to it.
it
was online.
Finish?
I think Moose hit like 4 spears.
That's
but I don't know if
good.
it wasn't like all in one. Yeah, he like caught Bailey out of midair with a spear and then hit another spear and got the win. So yeah, that's your X Division champion Moose. Really,
he won the title. Oh
yeah.
Really, what the X Division really stands for.
No, but it is though, because it's not about weight limits.
It's about no limits.
It's about no limits.
Who's the biggest person that's ever been the champion?
Abyss.
Oh, Abyss was the champion at one point?
During the Hogan Bischoff era, where it was basically just so Abyss could kill the small guys, but then I think Kendrick beat him for it.
Yeah, Brian Kendrick was the guy that beat him in the end. So.
See, that I can tell you off the top of my head, because that was like when TNA was important to me.
Yeah, it was still bad. It actually was probably worse than it is now, but like it
was getting worse than it is now, but it wasn't there yet.
Is it bad that when you were reading what Guy123 said, where it was, have you watched Moose versus Bailey? My brain immediately thought that you were going to finish the sentence by saying, have you watched Moose versus Squirrel?
Have you watched Moose versus Squirrel?
And then I'm like, wait, Moose versus Squirrel? No, they were friends. And then I'm sitting there going down this like...
That's Rocky and Bullwinkle, you...
Right, and I'm sitting there like going down this rabbit hole, not even though it's a Moose and Squirrel rabbit hole.
I'll say this because I have the
Moose and Squirrel. It's no, they were against the Russian people or whatever. And then I'm like, wait a minute, he's talking about DNA.
Because I have the occasional interests of a 70-year-old, I do sometimes put on Rocky and Bullwinkle in the background and just laugh at how entertainment was 60 years ago.
There was a thing when I was a kid. I went to Nickelodeon Studios when I was lucky. 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever it might be. And that was like one of the coolest things in Florida at the time. Like there was a guy walking around as Beetlejuice and like all this other kind of stuff. And they did like a Rocky and Bullwinkle thing where they did this thing, and I like, it blew my mind as a kid. And looking back, I'm like, wow, this was such a simple thing. But when you're a kid, like, people pull magic act on you and you're like, oh, clearly this is real. Like, but they had a little like skit thing on a stage, and they had like a cannon and they were going to shoot somebody into like the air. And when they fired the cannon off, they were like motioning for everybody to look in this one direction. And then it was like a building across the street from there had, like, what looked like the person got like I forget the name of the dude, the bad dude, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Boris, I think. Yeah, Boris and Natasha. It was like Boris was like embedded into the building, and you could see like his feet dangling and all. And it's like now, in retrospect, I look at it now and I'm like, oh, okay, it's just like a trapdoor thing that when they do that, they flip that over and stuff. But I was just like, I mean, how did they get that at the other building? Do they even own that building? Like I said, did they shoot the guy? Did I miss it? And I was just like, flabbergasted. So as a kid, that's always going to be like my go-to memory of that, just being like in this crowd and being like, magic's real. Like, and I also got afraid of the Ghostbusters thing like pretty soon after that, because I was just like, well, if that's real, then are these ghosts real?
I never got to go. Wanted to when we came down in the year 2000. It was nobody wanted to do it but me, so I got outvoted and never went.
If you ever get an opportunity,
Well, I don't think they fucking have
to
it.
go back in time and you know,
Yeah, listen, pal, I will.
I would recommend not eating the slime. It didn't taste good.
Of course you would. A guy went to 3 asked, "What do we think of Eddie Edwards as a wrestler, and where would we put him on the list of most successful indie wrestlers?" It's really weird for me because I still want to see him as this like
Potential future
great
main guy.
technical. Yeah, no, not like future big guy, but like good technical wrestler. But he transitioned at some point in like 2016, 17 to just being Tommy Dreamer who could wrestle better. And I still see more of the Ring of Honor Eddie Edwards when I want to see Eddie in my mind. But he's successful. I would consider him one of the most important TNA wrestlers in the post AJ Styles world. That's what I might even say he's the most important TNA wrestler in the post AJ Styles world.
I don't know almost anything about Eddie Edwards.
Callum, you got any thoughts on Eddie Edwards?
I mean, he was fine. I mean, he still is fine. I think it's more of a case of, yeah, his peak was in Ring of Honor when both the singles guy and the tag team, like the American Wolves tag team. But yeah, I just think that he, reached a certain level that at the point, like, he was kind of at the weird sort of crossroads where he wasn't going to really get picked up by WWE. And he decided to stick around in TNA, and by the time he was kind of past his peak, that was when AEW showed up, and they wouldn't really go for a guy like him.
Yeah, I think he's done some cool shit in TNA.
At least not after Davey Richards retired, so it's like...
Yeah, I think he probably sells himself short, as do most. That's my opinion of most who settle for TNA. Except for Moose. Moose knows exactly where he's at, knows exactly what he's got. I commend him for not leaving TNA and just running the company for the last 10 years.
There's nothing wrong with being comfortable where you are, as long as like you feel that's a good place for you to be in. So yeah, let's say he's done well in that regard. He's always been at like the third tier of wrestling promotions, and that's a comfortable sort to be in. Not everyone gets up to that level, so. Yeah, there's not very much else to really comment on it. I wasn't big into Ring of Honor at the time that he was kind of coming up. So,
always go back and watch American Wolf stuff. Always fun. That whole era is a good time for me. And again, he's done some cool stuff in TNA. He beat Bobby Lashley for the TNA World Title at one point. It's fun.
Speaking of Wolves, if we want to pivot back to something that's resembling the hot tags at any point, I know that me and Rob haven't really had a chance to talk about the free WWE releases that happened.
That happened
last
right
week.
after we finished last week's episode.
You guys give your opinions to that while I continue to hum in my head, American Wolves, American Wolves, American Wolves. But yeah, I gave my opinions about it. What do you guys think about Baron Corbin and
Indy
Hartwell
and
Tegan Knox?
Well, let's start with the Lone Wolf one because that was the Wolves reference. Yeah. I think that I know that I heard what you said about after the Crown Jewel thing. Found myself, as is often the case when you start talking about Baron Corbin, in complete disagreement with you from start to finish. Because you basically said, "Oh, he's a guy that never got a chance," and like he always I think he should have had him on the world title. I think he's a guy that got too many opportunities. I think that he was pushed beyond his reach. I think giving him things like the Money in the Bank briefcase, or having him have those like the big retirement match with Kurt Angle, and putting some pretty much like an authority position on Raw, and other big like the main event angle that he had with like Seth Rollins, like he was the first guy to really feud with Rollins after Rollins won the Universal title, and it's like he was just he's a mid card guy, Like, he was a perfectly fine mid-card heel guy that you could potentially move into the upper mid-card every now and again, but he was pushed way beyond his station. And the problem was that he fell into the trap that, I say fell into the trap, obviously this is a good position to be in if you want to have like good job security, but it's not good if you want to have like a legitimate career, is that once Vince finds out you're funny, then you're like, that's all he can think about. And that's essentially what his character became. It's just like, oh, Constable Corbin or Happy Corbin or all the other stuff. So I think that, he made a good career out of it, and he was in the company for a decade, around about that time anyway. So like, it's time to it was time to move on. I don't think that WWE really loses anything by losing him. As I say, decent hand, good wrestler, great finishing move, and yeah. So I say he was totally fine, but I just think that he got pushed too much, and made a good career out of himself for it. So I don't think he can have any complaints about how his WWE run went, and the fact that he's being released as well.
As is often the case, I find myself somewhere comfortably in the middle between you two. I definitely think Callum is 100% right that he fell into the same trap Moxley fell into, which is, oh, Vince found out that you're okay with fucking around a little bit. Now we're going to make you the butt of every joke. But at the same time, I think for whatever he was given, he did always maximize. Whether or not it was good TV is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that he, as somebody who's tasked with a role, did the best he could. I wanted more of the Lone Wolf stuff. I wanted more of, that kind of different take on a big man that he was doing in NXT. I thought, he got the US title and then immediately lost it to Dolph Ziggler, who literally just forfeited it 3 days later. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that he's the Money in the Bank holder who lost his opportunity to Jinder Mahal. Corbin's a weird case because he's got a lot of opportunities, but he's also the guy that they just like to clown on. He was the kayfabe reason that Raw was bad in 2019. And when the McMahon family said, we're going to listen to you now, they just had people beat up poor Baron Corbin as if any of it was actually his fault. So I kind of feel bad. I think he had a good run in NXT, and I wish he would have been given an opportunity to do a little bit more in just a more serious wrestler role. But I think, as Callum says, he can't complain. I'm going to go a step further here, and I'd say I'd be okay if he never wrestles again, but I do want him to start a cooking YouTube channel, and I hope he finds success doing that.
Yeah, I follow him on TikTok to see what he cooks. And a lot of the times when it comes to, fancy cooking and stuff, I'm like, this is such a waste, because it's kind of, like, I'm going to go out of my way to really, like, put a lot of effort into something that looks nice and it's super tiny and probably really expensive, and within one bite it's gone. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, some of that shit, he'll be like, I'll make a chicken parm. No, he made a carbonara one time where I was like, all right, if I'm in the house and I'm one of his kids or like whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna make carbonara, I'd be like, all right, this is gonna be a good night.
Could you think he could take on like a chef themed wrestling gimmick and call himself Corbin Blue?
That would be very funny.
Maybe it'd be, what is it? Red Baron is pizza, I think.
Oh God! But now you're selling him short again. You're making him Red Baron pizza.
It could be, what if he's like Red Baron Corbin Blue, and then he's appealing to both sides?
I mean, I like cordon bleu. I like pizza. It's now you're just making me go, what am I going to eat for dinner later?
So
continuing with the snack talk for anybody that's wondering, at this point, I'm fully aware that it's a good thing that I never lived completely by myself. I always was living with at least one other person, because it's only been a few days that I've only been completely on my own instead of having my wife here. I've been eating like garbage. Like I've had processed frozen chicken like patties and frozen pizza and chips, and for anybody that at this point, I'll reveal what the sandwich was. The sandwich was turkey and ham lunch meat with garlic parmesan chips thrown in there. And I still have not taken any of the vitamins that I'm supposed to be taking since Friday. So yeah, I mean, red Baron Corbin blue.
Well, here's what I'll say.
Good.
Here's what I'll say. You're treating your digestive system about the way WWE treated Tegan Knox, which is not good. And that girl, she was fucking ready to go. I have not seen someone so ready as she was. Her Instagram was immediately changed back to Nixon Newell. She was like, "Yep, it was out of my control. Here we go. Now I get to prove them wrong." She was ready to go. I can't wait to see what she does on the independents. I hope she has just a lot of fun. I hope she does stuff like Rev Pro. I hope she has a stop off at TNA. I just want to see her succeed. Whatever that looks like to her, I hope she gets it.
Yeah, like Tegan was severely unfortunate when it came to injuries. I suffered like 3 major knee-based or ACL-based injuries during her time in WWE, which just derailed any momentum that she was able to gather at any point in time when she was one of the hottest prospects on the British independent circuit when she was signed and brought into like the Mae Young Classic. Yeah, and I mean, beyond that thing, I don't blame. Again, it's not one of those things like you can understand why she was let go. My bigger issue with this one over the other two is the fact that she was released, brought back. They did nothing with her. She wasn't injured that much at all during that time, and then they just let her go again. That's the bigger thing that I have the issue with, is the fact that she could have been doing something else during that time, actually getting anything else. Like it could have been like whether it's TNA, whether it's like finding a place in AEW when their women's division was like starting to be reformed and reshaped to kind of the better state where it is now. Like she could have found opportunities there, but like she was brought back pretty soon when under the Triple H regime as part of that collection of people that were just like brought back very quickly, like your Braun Strowmans and all of that lot. And but yeah, she just wasn't utilized like at all. Like kind of like the whole story of her coming back was like the biggest angle that she was involved in was the fact that she was supposed to get an NXT title shot and then didn't, and then everyone and then eventually just had to wait for a few weeks before she did finally get it. Obviously lost to Becky Lynch, but that was the biggest thing that she did for the entire nearly 2 years that she was back. So yeah, that's like this is a good opportunity for her to hopefully get some other opportunities and to build up some form and confidence again, and hopefully not sustain any more serious injuries. But as I say, she'll never be the wrestler probably that she could have been, because like with every one of those injuries, it just takes so much out of your mobility and movement. You have to change your style so much based on that. So, but yeah, hopefully she can find her feet somewhere else. And then Indy. I mean, it's no secret. I was never a big fan of Indy Hartwell. I didn't think that she was very good. I just thought that she was, she had raw potential, but I think that like it never went beyond that point. To the point where like she was a great character. Like, the stuff that she did with like Dexter Lumis and the like that I can't remember what the name of the family group was. With Johnny Gargano and Candice, the other way. That's it. Yeah, let's say she was a good character, but it never just translated into consistent in-ring work. I thought it was a mistake when she was made the NXT Women's Champion, and then but it pretty much like it was a mistake which didn't really lead to anything because she never got a real chance to have a run with the title because she was injured pretty soon after, and then immediately called up to the main roster where as per usual they proceeded to do nothing with her.
We love those knee injuries in NXT, don't we?
Yeah. She proceeded to do nothing. She was basically, as soon as the Way thing happened, I mean, that was the most successful that she was, or to like just her character work and her presence on TV, and that basically where she was. She was stuck in the same tag team with Candice LeRae for pretty much her entire run past that point, and they never trusted her to do much. She was only like called upon like, oh, we're doing a show in Australia, let's wheel out Indy Hartwell. As soon as they got rid of the Iconics, that was kind of where that's kind of the next one they had to turn to was like, okay, we'll get Indy Hartwell and Rhea Ripley. That's kind of it at this point. So, So yeah, I think that it's one that you could definitely see coming. She's one that, you could potentially kick the tires on if you're an AEW, especially if you are going to have this new Ring of Honor show and you're looking to fill up more people with some name value to go on to there. But I think realistically, like, TNA is where she should go. TNA will definitely make a play for her, and I think that's kind of her level.
I think TNA is a great place for her. Maybe reunite with Steph Delander, Tony, the former Persia Perota. I think that she was a great. I think she was a great character in NXT 2.0. You can't say that about too many people, period. But she had something fun with the Garganos and even Theory, and I just think that none of them, including the man who beat John Cena at WrestleMania, Austin Theory, have really thrived on the main roster. It's very strange, and I don't understand why. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and say Indy Hartwell for WWE Women's Champion, but I think you could have tried to utilize her character work. You know what I mean? Like, could have done something, but that would also require them to do something with Candace, which they outright refuse to do most times. She had a fun run, and I'm glad she got to do some things, win the NXT title. But as Callum said, you could see that one coming. And I hate even saying that. It sounds mean, but like,
it's
they
reality. Like, people have to look, again, not to circle back to politics and stuff, but like, people need to realize that you can't just pretend like shit's not real. And even if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, you have to say some things. And it's like, look, WWE is not going to keep everybody forever. They were going to fire people, and they're going to fire people that they think are, number one, not worth the money that they are currently paying them. Number two, a problem, if that ends up being the case. Number three, somebody that they see no potential future in. Or number four, somebody who doesn't want to be there. Like, if they just want to quit, then it's like, okay, well, then we'll just let them go. And certain people are that you continue to not succeed for a long enough time frame, then you continue to get a paycheck that they eventually reach a point where they don't see the reason for it. And if they don't like you enough and they don't see any value enough in that, then that's why those people go. And sometimes it seems absolutely fucking crazy. Like when we had that year where it was like, why are we releasing all these like top talent people that you just had as like how'd you go from like Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt against Roman Reigns as the top three guys on a whole brand and fire two of them? Like, that seems kind of crazy from you're our priority to, nah, never mind, you're not worth keeping around at all. But yeah, there are people still in the company that are like, if WWE decides tomorrow that they're going to do another round of releases, I could name probably a good 20 something people that I'd be like, it wouldn't shock me if these were on the chopping block. And I wasn't surprised about any of these three, even if I was disappointed in them, because they were people that I was like, okay, if WWE's feeling like they need to release people, given the grand scheme of things, are they going to look at a Baron Corbin and say to keep him around, or are they going to look at a Jey Uso? Like, they're going to release Baron Corbin. It's obvious, So, wish them the best. You hope that they can bounce back and maybe even do something better. It's happened plenty of times before where people have gone elsewhere and they've done better things. Could happen with them. For all we know, they don't want to do anything like that. Maybe they want to do something else. Maybe Baron Corbin wants to start a cooking thing. Maybe Tegan Nox wants to be
She's already wrestling. She's already
insurance salesman. I don't fucking know.
She's already announced for shows.
Yeah, I would say that. I'd say I agree with all that stuff. I don't think that this is the rationale for it, but I do think it's worth pointing out that in a current period of time where WWE is starting to get, or at least Triple H is getting a bit of a reputation for issues revolving representation, to kind of release two queer women in one fell swoop is a little bit of
it's not a good look.
Not a good look, yeah. So So there's that. I say I don't think that's the rationale, the reason for it, but it's just one of those things that you have the power to control, and you could kind of go with, okay, I say if they're both their contracts coming up at the same time, there's really not much you can do about it. And if you plan on letting them go, then you plan on letting them go. But it's just one of those things that can be presented in the wrong way, especially if you are currently in a position where everyone's kind of concerned about your handling of.
They're looking for reasons to expand on this narrative, and at some point becomes, well, man, the shoe is starting to fit. You might end up having to wear this thing if you don't do something here, and hopefully they do turn things around in that regard.
I also want to go back to another topic we mentioned before. I forgot to bring this up just for the sake of me putting it in like the text or something. I thought it was kind of funny too. That NXT versus AEW back and forth. That AEW decided to say our upcoming November shows are going to be called the November to Remember.
I appreciate it.
And that's an ECW pay-per-view name that WWE should, by all accounts, have the trademark for, but I guess they let it lapse, which is the second time that's happened with the Bash at the Beach thing. And then very soon after that, Vic Joseph on commentary is like, we've got a lot of like great shows or something like that. It's truly going to be a November to Remember. And it's like, okay, they like hear that on the other channel, then just go, maybe you need to mention it on here just in case too, or something. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, they had a segment on AEW of like the Christian patriarchy segment where he pretty much just took the microphone and buried ECW as part of like his burial of Taz on the thing. So I think they were both like playing into it a little bit. So yeah, I'd say if there's another like hot tag wrestling related thing, I guess like talk a little bit about New Japan stuff, because there's some interesting stuff in the latest New Japan show.
I had heard about one thing, the Ricochet.
Yes, so we definitely get to that part, because that was probably one of the biggest bits of news. But first of all, like Kenny Omega was on the show. It wasn't wrestling, but he made an appearance there, spoke to the crowd in Japanese, announced that he's going to wrestle at the Wrestle Dynasty show. So that'll be his first match back, and he'll fight against the young New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler. That's assuming he's going to fight someone from New Japan. And based on the brawl that happened backstage between him and Gabe Kidd, I guess that's kind of likely that Gabe Kidd will be the guy that will step up to him.
Sounds like it.
Which is good. Gabe Kidd's a fun wrestler, so I imagine they'll have a fun match. I wouldn't even be surprised if like Kidd won that match. They kind of like to try and lean into the story of like, they probably won't and they'll have Omega win, but like it would be interesting to like lean into the story of like, oh, Omega's just come back from this really serious condition, and Gabe Kidd is the like New Japan Strong champion, so to having him beat him and just like using that to ride some momentum forward, and Kenny has to realize that, oh, I need to build myself back up before I'm back to being who I was again. That could be a nice angle to take it, but it's nice. Again, that's just good news that Kenny Omega's coming back, so it means that we are going to see him wrestle again. Sonada joined House of Torture. So all Bullet Club, Bullet Club War Dogs technically, actually. Yeah, I should clarify that as Bullet Club War Dogs. One of the factions of Bullet Club, the one that's not House of Torture. And so that means Just 5 Guys is back to just 4 guys.
Oh no, they lost their main guy.
Yeah, unless they can find another guy to be there. I guess that's
a guy.
I don't think he'd be Just 5 Guys. Just 5 Guys Just 4 Guys now are a babyface group. So, and Ricochet, yeah, well, as well get to the main event. So, Zazo Jr. defended the world title against Shingo Takagi in a match which, I haven't actually seen, but by all accounts was excellent. So I might check that out when I have the opportunity to. And then we found out not only what his match is for Wrestle Kingdom, but also Wrestle Dynasty. So first, Shota Umino came out, and the thing that I said definitely shouldn't happen is going to happen, which is Shota Umino is going to challenge Zack Sabre Jr. for the World Championship at Wrestle Kingdom.
Right? Do they have another main event?
Yes, that will be the quote unquote main event, but the match that is going to be the hot ticket item for Wrestle Kingdom is going to be Tetsuya Naito versus Hiromu Takahashi.
Why is
Okay.
that?
Because
There's
they're
no big, like,
there is
what's driving the force behind that?
well, there isn't one really. Well, so what's happening is they're teaming together in the World Tag League, which is the final kind of tournament before Wrestle Kingdom, which leads into December. So the idea is they're probably not going to win, and they'll probably come to not to blows with each other, like maybe come to blows, but like get heated with each other, or one will blame the other for costing things happening, because at the moment they don't have any match sorted, and they probably want to just present it as this is a match that everyone's been waiting to see, because they've both been in the same faction for so long, and everyone's always kind of figured that Hiromu will at some point make the step up to being more of a featured heavyweight, and Naito's still the most popular guy in New Japan. So it's just the idea of two guys from the same faction who have been like teaming together for a really long time at this point. It must be about 7-8 years at the very least. Like, will come to have their this long awaited match against each other on the biggest show, and that'll be the one that draws the crowds in when you actually have the main event being between a guy who is a popular enough world champion but has not proven to be a draw yet, against a guy who is ice cold, really unpopular, was booed coming to the ring to challenge Zack Sabre Jr., and not so much booed as in like he's a heel, booed as in, oh fuck, this guy's going to fight for the world title at Wrestle Kingdom. Like, they do not buy him as a top guy. So you have to assume that the reason why they're going with this is because they have some kind of angle planned for him, either at the show or leading to the show, or just after the show, which is based around the crowd's rejection of him. So they're going to lean into that. So that's the only hope really for that one, because otherwise it just makes no sense on paper.
Jon Moxley has a group of people that audience members are rejecting, and Jon Moxley loves himself some shooter.
Yeah, but he's actually they're actually rejecting them as a heel group rather than rejecting them as like, you suck, go away. They've kind of said like, Shota Umino, he's kind of seen as he's a mid card guy. So to put him in this position when he doesn't really deserve it is the thing that's causing the rejection. And then after that, Ricochet, Titantron on screen, and so he's back in New Japan, or at least doing stuff for New Japan. He, in a full suit and loafers, did a springboard onto Zack Sabre Jr. and beat him up, attacked him from behind. So we're now in the interesting position of Ricochet being a babyface in AEW and a heel in New Japan. So see how he kind of straddles the line there, but he'll be wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Dynasty, which is a way of shooting itself in the foot, because that is basically saying Zack Sabre Jr. is retaining the title against Shota Umino at Wrestle Kingdom.
Is he a babyface or is he a heel by going up against Zack Sabre Jr.? I thought Zack Sabre Jr. was a heel.
No, Zack Sabre Jr. is a babyface.
Oh.
But does it necessarily mean that Ricochet is a heel, or does it just mean
Ricochet's a heel because he attacked Zack Sabre Jr. from behind, and just beat him up after his match. Like, didn't come out and respectfully challenge him, which is what a babyface would do. He, Zack Sabre Jr. was staring at the ramp as Ricochet's Titantron was playing. Ricochet leaped in from behind and attacked him and beat the crap out of him in a kind of pretty vicious way. Announced that he's back to take over, which is again another heel thing, and then Shota Umino chased him off because he's still viewed as a babyface. So yeah, Ricochet's definitely the heel in this feud.
Well, you guys know what the beginning of Ricochet's theme is? Do you know the words?
Out of this world or something?
Nah,
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Because every time I've heard it, I've been like, I don't know what the hell he's saying, and I finally just looked it up the other day. Everybody down and watch for the Ricochet.
I like that.
There's your little trivia, I guess, for this.
Yeah. that's kind of the main stuff coming out of the New Japan show is Sonata's now in a different faction, Ricochet's back and he's going to challenge for the world title. Shota Umino's also going to challenge for the world title, and yet Kenny Omega's back and he's going to wrestle. So overall, mostly good news for that side.
I'm going to read some more comments here because we got some decent enough questions. First of all, Guy123, thank you for checking out my interview with M. Dickey. That is still up on the Fightful YouTube channel. Everybody should check that out, as well as my interviews with the person behind the Markout game and my interview with Gregory Iron. I did used to actually do stuff there. Wish I was doing more. Ash asking us, he thinks it's going to be Takeshita against Okada in the Continental Classic Finals. What do you guys think?
So it's only Okada that's confirmed right now, right?
As the Continental Champion, that does make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that Takeshita is going to necessarily be in it if they potentially at least if they say something about the idea about merging belts, then obviously he has to be. If they say that that's not a factor and a champion can enter it and their belt isn't on the line, then I could see Takeshita being in it. But I don't know. How many people were in it the last time?
12, yeah.
So
yeah, 6 each block, yeah.
I mean, there's 11 other guys that I could see where they wouldn't have to put Takeshita in there.
They absolutely have to put Takeshita in here.
I would put him in there, but I like there are still 11 plus people that if you ran out of like, it's not like you're like looking at like the women's division and SmackDown and being like, all right, we need 12 women, and then you're like, okay, we're kind of screwed. We don't have them. We need to put BFAB in there or something, you know? Like,
yeah, I'd say AEW's got a lot of people in the roster that could be in it, and it depends on what direction they want to go with it. It also depends on like, we don't know yet what the time scale of the Continental Classic is, because it seems like they'd be kind of fine if they're ending it at World's End like they did last year.
It starts right after the Dynamite after Full Gear.
So Dynamite after Full Gear, so that's end of like back end of November. So you wouldn't be able to. I don't think you'd be able to cram all that stuff in before.
No, you got
like
4
the
weeks.
end of December. Yeah, full for like 12 people to have,
and 3 shows.
Yeah, but I think that they will. I think if I was them, I would spread it out at least until Wrestle Dynasty. I'd make Wrestle Dynasty the end of that, because then you could incorporate maybe 1 or 2 New Japan guys that maybe aren't involved in the tag league into the Continental Classic to make that a bit more of a mix. I think there are certain people that need to be in it. I think Mark Briscoe needs to be in this to continue the story from last year's one. I would put Shelton Benjamin into this.
that'd be a lot of fun.
He's gonna get in there.
Yeah.
It's always reliable to put in like a Roderick Strong because he's just going to work well with people. He could lose, you know. You could throw in somebody like Daniel Garcia in here. You could throw in people like Leo Rush or someone like.
Yeah, as I say, it will depend on because it will depend on what the landscape looks like after Full Gear, because there are multiple things that could be. With Teshta kind of in the middle of this embroidered feud with Ricochet and the other people, like the cast-offs from the Don Callis family, then he might be continuing that side of things. He's probably still got another match with Will Ospreay down the line after Ospreay and Fletcher deal with their stuff. That'll probably rule out both Ospreay and Fletcher because they'll probably still be feuding towards the end of the year at the very least. And that feels odd to neither put Ospreay or Fletcher into the Continental Classic. But like I say, if it's only going to be 12 people again, then a lot of people are going to miss out. So,
and in that spirit, I don't want certain people to miss out. Like, I wouldn't want a Wheeler Yuta. I think he should be involved in this. You know, I think
but Wheeler Yuta is also the Trios champion, so it's kind of they've got commitments already, and he's involved in a big storyline. I think you need to distinguish the people that are outside of the main storylines right now, and kind of because I say in an ideal world you'd put a guy like Orange Cassidy in. I think for the sake of the story, or Darby Allin in. But for the sake of the current story, I think you need to have Cassidy get taken out by Moxley in their match, and so he shouldn't be fit to compete for the Continental Classic. Essentially, you need to make piece with the fact that there's going to be a big contingent of top wrestlers that aren't going to be part of this tournament. I think Takeshita, I would definitely put Takeshita in my dream scenario in the same way that Ash says that I would go with Takeshita versus Okada because they have been building that, but it just depends on if they have plans with Takeshita just doing more stuff with the international title and they have
Why
no
can't the
plans.
international title be in the pot?
Well, it's like what I'm saying. It's like if they have plans for him, the international champion, but they also have plans for Okada to still be the continental champion, then those two things can't coexist. So unless the title's not on the line, but even still, you still want Takeshi to be doing stuff with the international title. So it very much, that whole scenario very much depends on if they have plans on unifying those titles. If they don't have plans to unify the titles, then Takeshi won't be in the Continental Classic.
And I think if they do have plans on merging them, you're going to see that very quickly be like Takeshita says, "Oh, Okada, you think that you're the shit? Well, you know what? I'm going to be in the tournament too, and let's see who walks out with both of our belts." Then it'll be like that's the big hook of the tournament.
Yeah, I could see. I don't know. Yeah, I could see this tournament being the thing that I think they'll probably pull the trigger of turning Okada babyface. Because he gets cheered to the ring regardless of his affiliation with the Bucks anyway, and the Bucks aren't around anymore, so I think they'll just use this as a chance to just have, Okada just go out and be in the Continental Classic and just have great matches with people back to like the old style Okada and just be more of event and like gradually transition to being just more of like the old babyface style Okada. So as I say, there's many
Fletcher should be in it.
Yeah, Fletcher I think would make sense to be in the tournament.
I think, well, I'd argue that like pretty much every member outside of the tag team with the Don Callis family should be in it. Like, but yeah, so you can make arguments like MJF should be in it, or Adam Cole should be in it, or like I say, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly. There's literally dozens of people that could be in this tournament, but only a dozen people can be in this tournament. So
if he's healthy, I want Copeland in it. Just an easy excuse to do matches. Just do the fucking matches while you're healthy.
And also the other aspect of this as well is that, only two people can make the finals of this, and only one person can win it. So
that's
that side of it as well. Yeah, because I say, and that's the side of it as well, is that you can put all of these great people in it, but that means that most of them have to lose matches. Most of them won't advance that far into it. So yeah, there's so many moving parts to this type of thing, and I'm sure they'll come up with a great lineup of people. But
and we didn't even touch on like there should be a big man in it like Brody was last year. I don't know if you do Brody King again, or if you do Big Bill, or if you do probably the most pushed big guy.
Oh, actually, and also like just another aside to this, which like something else is that I think that there should be. I think AEW should hopefully, as this one proves to be as successful as the previous one, or at least like is close to the success of the previous one, they should definitely do one of these like in a different third of the year. They need to do one for the tag teams. They need to do one for the women as well.
They've had a couple different tournaments, but they haven't really stuck around. Like there was the Deadly Games tournament. There was
That was something else. They had the Deadly Draw tournament. The Deadly Games tournament was the Survivor Series '98.
Oh yeah, okay. Deadly Draw was the thing. Yeah. They obviously have the Owen, but that's a different. Like, it doesn't feel the same. So. I had a note about something. I'm trying to find where it was. Here's another random, just like factorial hot tag for anybody that likes those elements. Elimination Chamber 2025, March 1st, Rogers Center, Toronto. So back to Canada already. And
it's nice that they're going back to the Rogers Center.
I wonder why. Like what the deal came around to that. If Rogers Center was just like, we really want you back, that was great. Or if it was WWE being like, well, we don't really have any other plans.
They're not doing the Rogers Center. They're not doing the Rogers Center anytime soon.
Elimination Chamber 2025.
Yeah, but they haven't done it since a very long time now.
When was the last time that they were there?
That's the Sky Dome. I think the last time they did a pay-per-view there was Mania 20-something years ago.
Wait, am I getting my did I get the facts mixed up? Is this I thought that they had been at Rogers Center the last time. Oh, yeah, I guess not or something. I don't know. But being back in Canada, that's yeah, Canadian fans are fun. And now we know that that's March 1st, which I don't like this whole thing about the Royal Rumble being in February and Elimination Chamber then being in March and all that, but it's not that big of a difference. It's not like it's, Royal Rumble is in the end of March, which that would be like, come on, guys, you're not, what the hell?
Quick correction, because I can't read. Apparently Ash was saying he thought Takeshita would be in the C2 before he won the international belt. I still think that they're gonna throw it in there, sweeten the pot,
Guy 123 also says in the chat, I would rather AEW give Jeff Jarrett the ROH World Championship because he's in better shape and can wrestle better than Chris Jericho. Also is more over than him.
That is not a comment that I made, surprisingly. Yeah, look, I don't want to see Jeff Jarrett win a world title in 2024. Love Jeff Jarrett, but I don't want to see that, and I don't want to see Jericho with this belt unless it just is going to actually lead to prosperous things for that brand. Ring of Honor is a dud, and we need to revive it. There's so many things you could do with it.
Send FTR.
I don't know if that that's just your answer, but
that's you wanted to revive it. They're the revival.
Oh, fuck off.
Don't tempt me to fuck off. Yeah. You don't want me to do that with the fans.
At least I know you're feeling a little better since you threw out that fucking pun.
No, you need puns in this world these days. I'll go out doing a pun. I've said before, I really wish that I would have had, if my first word would have been quote as a kid, so that way my last word could be unquote, and everything that I've said in my entire life would be all in quotation marks. If I ever have a kid, I'm going to try to get my kid to say that. I'll just be like, quote, quote, quote. Like, the way people are like, say mama, say dad. I'll be like, quote, quote. That's why I shouldn't have.
Guy 123 says Baron Blue Chew. You don't want to turn your back on that Wolfpack. Lacey Evans should go to TNA. I think Lacey Evans shows TNA on OnlyFans these days. Isn't that what she's doing right now?
Not bad.
Apparently, somebody's seen.
Hey, look, you can just Google it, everybody. You don't have to pay a dime.
This guy 123 says he wouldn't be surprised if WWE trolled Tony Khan by buying the rights to November to Remember. They probably have it, but at the same time, we really get that nitpicky. They probably would. I wouldn't waste my time, but I don't have the money they do.
One of those names that I've always thought they're really never going to use. They're not going to use December to Dismember again. They're not going to use
They should.
They certainly shouldn't bother to get some of the names that if anybody wants to go back and check out some previous episodes of some stuff, I did the ranking of all the different names of pay-per-views and stuff, and man, I really had lost track of how stupid ECW used to name their events, where it's like it ain't Seinfeld is the name of one, and it's like I think one's called something like the final show of Terry Funk again or something, where it's like
again, it's the last of the Funker. It ain't Seinfeld was very topical. It was like, what the fuck was it, 96, 7? Seinfeld was the biggest show in the world, and ECW was in fact not Seinfeld.
No, I liked Seinfeld a lot better. That's what we need to say. We should have replaced that with let's see what Bob Sacamano can do or something.
What's the deal with barbed wire?
I guess I should go back and mention some stuff from that NXT show. You guys didn't watch it, but
I haven't seen it yet.
Dawn Marie was the special guest ref for the hardcore match. You didn't need to watch it. RVD was attacked backstage in an unseen thing because he wasn't cleared to compete, and then he got involved in the Wesley and Javon Evans match and didn't do anything because he wasn't allowed to compete. So if anybody wanted to watch RVD do anything, he pretty much just talked to Kalani Jordan. But they
That's
had
cool.
a thing with Ava saying she was in the ring with Stevie Turner and Robert Stone. I still don't quite get why Stevie Turner is just doing this gimmick and not wrestling at all. I don't know if that's like she's injured and they decided to do this, or they don't think that she's worth doing that, but she could have potential as a ring, like
Yeah, they like her
manager
personality.
person. She meaning Ava announced that NXT Deadline is going to be returning. It's December 7th. They are going to have the Iron Survivor Challenge matches, so the qualifying matches, which we don't know who's going to participate. They're going to start on this next episode of NXT. And then for some reason, and it's like we know the reason why is to set up this thing, but it didn't really make any sense within context. Robert Stone started crapping on Philadelphia fans, and he got a gore from Rhino as like a, okay, well then now we're all going to go, yay, screw you. They had Nunzio and Tony Mamaluke go up against Tony D'Angelo. Tony D retained the North American Championship. They all kind of hugged and embraced at the end. Bubba Ray Dudley and Trick Williams lost the match against Rich Holland and Ethan Page because Rich Holland pinned Trick Williams, just a means to set up that he's going to end up doing that match, and that's not going to be all that great. And Devon came out. Devon couldn't really do anything either. So a lot of this episode was just sort of, here's these ECW people. They can't really do much. They showed Francine in the crowd. I liked the intro. They kind of did the ECW intro. I thought that was kind of fun. Julia, Zarya, Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vaquera, and Kalani Jordan won that 10-woman tag. Zarya, interestingly, speared Jordan Grace at one point, but they didn't seem to really have an issue afterward. But Zarya won the match by pinning Roxanne Perez. So that means now, even though Zarya was seemingly going after the Women's North American Championship, now she's the one that's pinned Roxanne. And there's a lot of people that are going to be interesting for this Iron Survivor Challenge. I think that's going to be potentially good. And we're going to find out more about that on NXT on Tuesday. And
I think, honestly, I would take the 5 baby faces that won and just go, there's your Iron Survivor. I know it's not, you can't, kill time with your qualifiers and shit like that, but I would do that because that's a hell of a lineup. And gets Jordan Grace on another pay-per-view.
Is it just 5 people in the Iron Survivor, or is it 6? I don't remember.
It's 5, I think.
It's the Iron Survivor challenge. Yeah, I don't remember for sure, but it should probably be those. If not, then I don't know who they kind of swap out. Because I would think maybe they would swap out somebody and then that person could fight Roxanne. Like maybe Zarya gets a title shot and she's not in the match or something. I don't know.
It is 5.
I think that they've not had the women's championship defended during that pay-per-view before. Maybe they did. I don't really care enough to go back and check.
At last year's show, they did not.
Yeah, so maybe it's just the Iron Survivor stuff.
Well, they defended the men's belt, and then they didn't defend the women's title. I'm looking at 2022 to see if they defended it. No, they did not defend. For some reason, they defend the men's title, but not the women's.
Another NXT-related thing, though, Lance Anoa'i seems to be a part of the Performance Center crew now.
I only laugh because of our conversation last night, where I immediately came up with an elaborate idea for him and Hikuleo, and you were just like, "Oh, I was gonna team them."
Oh yeah, and I ended up writing up something different instead. I ended up writing up that the team between them doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in my head, and I'd rather just do it, which maybe it's a stupid idea too. I don't know. If it is, fuck it, who cares? It's not like it's happening. I kind of want to see Solo's team lose at War Games, and for The Rock to be mad about that and to excommunicate Solo as well, and to be like, I thought you had the opportunity to take things over and be the tribal chief and everything like that. Clearly, I need to get my hands dirty myself, and I can't trust any of you fucking idiots. But that makes sense because your brothers are fuck ups and Roman's a fuck up, so you get out of here too. And then he could bring in Hikuleo, and it could be basically The Rock, Jacob Fatu, Tongaloa, Tamatanga, and Hikuleo up against the other ones, with Solo then joining them. And then probably at Mania, I guess it's Solo, Jimmy, and Jay against Tamatanga, Tongaloa, and Hikuleo. And then maybe Jacob Fatu is like going up against somebody for the United States Championship or something. I don't know. And, you know,
You completely didn't mention what you would do with Lance.
well, then I came back around to, and then at that point, the only thing I can think of with Lance is you just either wait until all of this is over, like wait a few months until post-Mania to bring him in. In the meantime, you let him rest up because he's injured. You let him work at the Performance Center and all, and then you start whatever the next phase is, or you bring him in through NXT and you have it be that like Ava turns heel and she's like, my dad says I'm bringing in this guy and like we're going to, you know, kind of use our influence over NXT as well. And then Lance can be kind of like another one of The Rock's dudes or something. But I don't know anything about Lance Anoa'i to say like what's good about him, what's great about him, what's awful about him.
He's fine. Like,
I've heard more positives about Zola than I have about Lance.
Which is ridiculous. He's had like 2 matches. People just want to, I think people just want to get excited because he's Umaga's son. But like, Zilla hasn't done much. And quite frankly, I don't want the bloodline thing to last forever. But they have enough family members for it to realistically do so. I just don't want it.
I remember back in the day, this is going way back at this point, and you could tell by the thought process that I had how stupid of an idea it was in retrospect. I remember getting really excited when I heard about Teddy Hart, and I was like, oh, good. It seems like we're going to have potentially a new Bret Hart on the roster.
Well, we had someone who Bret dubbed the excellence of execution in Tyson Kidd, and then we just didn't. You know, like it never worked out for him. Teddy Hart has his own issues that we don't need to get into. I did always love the Hart Dynasty though. For however little that generated, I enjoyed the pairing.
So I don't have any other hot tags down. I don't even remember what happened on Raw and anything along those lines. So, is there anything else that's happening that we should talk about?
Nothing I can, nothing that's like imperative. I don't think. Callum, have you seen anything that you want to bring up?
No, I can't say anything that's like big news from the wrestling side of things that's worth discussing beyond the stuff that we've already mentioned.
How do you feel about the Costco guys, Callum? Yeah, are you locked in enough to social media that you know what's going on there?
I'm completely like avoidant of TikTok and stuff like that. So I just
good for you, man.
I know of them, and I know they say the word boom a lot.
Yeah, they do. We're gonna talk about that.
I know he's fighting Unity Marshall. So, but I don't. As I say, it's one of those things that it's on the pre-show, and it's clearly some sort of thing to try and bring in internet celebrities, try and appeal to these masses. Like, okay, this isn't for me, so I'm probably just not going to pay much attention to that match.
I don't know any of these WWE ID talents that were signed.
I know of Jack Cartwheel.
Yeah, Jack Cartwheel.
Oh, I only saw the first 3. I didn't know that they announced any others.
There's been 3 new ones announced today. What I do find quite at least funny and interesting about this one is that they're not from any of the schools that they said they were partnered with. So,
Really?
Not yet.
so yeah, that's a good sign that that's the only people that are going to be clued up with it. No, they're just what seems to be at least being announced by it is that, as you would expect, the idea is that they're part of this contract, and then if the wrestler in question is offered a contract for like an AEW or a TNA or any other wrestling promotion, WWE gets first refusal on them. So essentially, like, they could say, "Oh, you can either match or better the offer," and then they go to WWE instead, or they can say, "Oh, well, actually, we're going to pass up on that now because we don't really want to offer that kind of money."
Sounds great for the talent.
Oh yeah, it does seem like it's the approach, and it's not just a case of like once you're part of like an ID contract, you're basically locked into WWE. Then, if that's the case, then that's a better way of approaching your relief for the talents side of things. So that's good.
So there's a guy Cappuccino Jones.
Yeah, I like the name Cold Brew Cappuccino Jones. That sounds.
I mean,
great.
Taz must have named the guy.
It sounds like it. I hope he has like finisher moves and stuff that are all puns. Like, you know, if he's got like a stir and he's got like the
his finishing move is the decaffeinator.
Yeah, like give me all those names. Have it be like every time that you count how many punches he does, it's like how many shots of espresso or something. Like, you know. Cold Brew Cappuccino Jones. Don't change his name either. Just keep him that. Bring him in NXT.
As Data Steel, I know she's worked some MLW stuff. I'm a little less familiar with some of these names, like Zara Kerr. Never seen
Zeta Steel, I think. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, like I've seen her work. Bryce Donovan's a name I've heard, haven't actually seen. And the latest one is Sean Legacy. They scouted him from Pro Wrestling Revolution, a PWR/Noah tryout. And we know that they have the working relationship with Noah right now. That was something that you mentioned from NXT.
Which one was?
They had
a wrestler on it.
Yeah.
I can't remember this guy's name.
I'm gonna Google it real quick or search it real quick. But yeah, they had a wrestler appear, and I think that's pretty cool. Yoshiki Inamura, and they said it was part of some partnership between the companies. So, you know, they're definitely trying.
Unaware of any other topics I'm going through now. I see that like WWE, according to PW Insider, WWE is hoping that Rhea Ripley can be back in time for Mania. That sucks. I thought
It's
she was
just
supposed to
an
be gone
orbital.
for a month.
It's just an orbital injury. Isn't it like? I mean, I know those times were different, but like, I know Taker wrestled with it. You know, I think even more recently, it wasn't the orbital that had JC Jane wearing the mask, was it?
I thought she broke her nose.
No, but I'm sure
she'll
she'll be back by Mania, and if she's not, that's a problem for the Raw division.
Yeah, I mean, Io Sky is going to be the next in line, but to me, it almost more so feels like we got to do something else, and Io's the best option. So let's just go to that, and we'll start to figure it out as time goes on, as opposed to that they had any plans to actually do that story.
Io's the next in line, but they made it very clear that the feud is Bianca
and Jade. Yeah.
I was just looking at like people that suffered orbital injuries because I think Rob was right about someone recently. It was Bryan Danielson broke his orbital bone last year, and only was out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, now granted, I know we we treat certain people differently, but like,
he's a madman. Yeah.
yeah, he's
Like,
a madman. Taker's a madman. Masawa did it. Masawa was a madman. You know, like, I'm not saying that these people are better for prioritizing wrestling over their bodies. It's just that that's what I'm used to, so I don't expect Ripley to be up for too long.
Oh, I forgot to mention about Marco Stunt retiring.
Yeah, apparently he's going through some health issues.
That sucks. Hopefully,
Yeah,
he
I mean,
gets better.
yeah.
One of those.
That's fair. I mean, it's talk about a guy that kind of made the most of his time that he had there. So like, be able to do a lot of cool stuff on the indies and make it to AEW as well. Like it's important. Like again, for a lot of people, that a place like AEW existed because he would never obviously be able to make it to WWE in any kind of long capacity unless you kind of that bizarre period where they thought, oh, let's hire a guy like James Ellsworth. Like that was kind of the only thing to be like, a resident jobber. But he was a guy that, despite his size, actually used his size to his advantage by just being a guy that was willing to be thrown around by a lot of dudes in the same way that Spike Dudley was. So, but yeah, that's like, you can only do that really realistically for so long before it starts to have some impact on your body. So hopefully, he finds whatever he wants to do next that he's passionate about.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any other kind of stories other than the last thing I can think of that we could talk about is what do you think that they're going to do with the New Day celebration on Raw next Monday?
Is it next Monday? Again, they painted it like they were getting a full episode, which would be crazy to me, but also kind of fun. And the only thing I want to see is Big E come out and announce that he can wrestle. I don't care how unrealistic that is. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I'm sad as someone who's not really paying much attention. They're doing the whole like Woods and Kofi potential breakup storyline, but as not someone who's like paying super close attention to it, I can't really predict what exactly they'll do. I don't think that they'll break up, but stranger things have happened, but I don't see, as I've said like all along when this thing's been going along, I don't see how it benefits either of them.
I'm still hoping that this is just leading to Big E coming back, and hopefully he's ready to wrestle again. But if not, obviously, then it is what it is, and I want him to be healthy and everything predominantly more than anything else. But the idea of like the New Day splitting, it doesn't sit well with me. So I'm hoping that it's something else.
Yeah.
Check out the chat in the meantime when you say yeah and do what you're gonna say.
No, I want Big E to wrestle. Yes, Guy 123 Misawa did unfortunately pass away in the ring. And again, that's why I said, don't know if I love these people prioritizing wrestling over their bodies. It's just what I'm used to. Can we react to the Great American Bash 2000?
What was on that show?
That was a WCW show.
That's the Sting Vampiro fire match, right? None of you know that off the top of your head, do you?
Sting and Vampiro in a fire match?
I mean, anything from WCW 2000 is obviously some of the worst wrestling you're ever going to see. So,
absolutely.
We'll see. Great American Bash 2000. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so we got Lieutenant Loco versus Disco. Not Disco Inferno, just Disco at this point in time.
Like
the
Cisco.
Cruiserweight Championship.
Start a guy I don't know against an even
Lieutenant Loco,
Lieutenant Loco is Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah. Oh, Too Loco he was going by?
Yeah, just
that
like
that was his Misfits in Action name.
When
in the same way that
General
Hugh Morris, yeah.
I mean, remember 2000? I'm not even watching WWF, let alone WCW.
Yeah.
I was out of that. So Loco, that's news to me.
So we have Chronic against the Marmalukes, which is Big Vito and Johnny Stamboli. So not even really the ECW like Nunzio faction. But Mike Awesome against DDP in an ambulance match. Oh, is that the one where Awesome falls off the ambulance, or is it Canyon that falls off the ambulance?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's Canyon that falls off the ambulance in that one, yeah. G.I. Bro, who was Booker T, as again part of the Misfits in Action, against Sean Stasiak. Shane Douglas versus the Wall Brother. And
That's the
tables
wall,
match.
brother.
Scott Steiner versus Rick Steiner and Tank Abbott in a handicap asylum match that went less than 4 minutes.
Hold
So
on,
I have no idea what that would be.
Oh, it's
Abbott.
Hogan and Kidman.
Who was
Yeah,
Tank
Hogan and
Abbott?
Kidman. He was the guy that
He sounds
put
really familiar.
he put a knife against someone's neck, didn't he? At one point.
Yeah, he was an early UFC fighter, so he was batshit crazy. Like he was a UFC fighter when they had no rules.
I think I might have done something for him at some point. Like I think I might have like edited photos for him or something.
Did you shank a guy? What'd you do for him?
I mean, at this point, I kind of want to get rid of some of my memory, but like Tank Abbott sounds really familiar. Maybe wait. Was he a part of a tag team?
Well, apparently he was Rick Steiner here, so
Well, yeah,
he was like the manager. He was like a manager kind of thing
Three
for
Count, for some reason.
Free Count for a while. Yeah. He never did anything outside WCW, or at least not in a wrestling capacity, or nothing serious in that regard, anyway. No, he probably pinned TNA at some point, but like in the early days TNA, but I wouldn't be able to tell you if he did. So
I feel like I made like a poster about him for like a promotion or something.
I mean, it's very possible because New York Northeast promotions bring in anybody.
Might have popped up on AEW or something.
When he's still around. He's still like he's only like about say only, but like he's just about to turn 60, so it's not like he's been like incapacitated out of the ring by that point in time.
That was 2012 at the time too. So
by the way, the rest of this card is Ric Flair, David Flair, Vampiro and Sting in a Human Torch match. That was right. And Jeff Jarrett taking on Kevin Nash for the world title.
Jeff Jarrett and Kevin Nash for the world title win a match that went nearly 18 minutes long. That sounds terrible.
Jeff Jarrett, Kevin Nash in a title match in 2000. Where is this pre or post when Kevin Nash was power bombing people and the referee was just counting, even though they was just
that's after that, because that was in the build up to the Goldberg match.
I saw that clip.
Was it? Yeah.
I saw that clip the other day where the referee is just counting. Like,
what happened there? Like, did anybody ever talk about like what that was supposed to be?
They were just trying to build up his win streak to have a match with Goldberg. So.
But he didn't even like put his foot on them to be like, okay.
Yeah, but Vince Russo was booking the show, and the one thing Vince Russo has always said and was always held true to this sort of thing is that wrestling would be much better if there wasn't some wrestling in it.
I mean, there's a part of me that would just be looking at that and just be like, Kev, why don't you just do that? Like, there's a part of me that kind of thinks that that's just fuck it. It's funny,
Guy 1 2 3. There is the pick your poison tier, and that sounds pretty poisonous. So that's always available to you if you really want us to react to the Great American Bash 2000.
That was the last Great American Bash until it was revived by WWE in 2004. So obviously, because WWE died the year afterwards. So it's probably it's not the worst show from 2000 that we could watch.
Oh no.
That'd probably be Bash at the Beach. That's the show after that. So,
Curious Guy 1 2 3. Why was that something that stood out to you as like a go-to? Like, I want to watch that be a reaction from these guys. Is it like is that a particular like favorite Doom watch or something, or was there like a specific match that we were like, I really want to see them watch that match or something? Let us know.
Maybe he just wants to break Callum. Because I feel like that's a show that.
I mean, as I say, I've watched I had to watch a decent amount of it for like our 2001 Wrestling Odyssey.
We did do 2001 Wrestling Odyssey. We watched a lot of WWA. That'll do it for you.
Yeah, that's that stuff. Well, I imagine it'll be just as bad, if not worse, than what we'd see from the WCW show. At least WCW show you can get to see some decent cruiserweight stuff, and there were some decent wrestlers in it still. But I know it's definitely the worst show that from WCW 2000 that we could watch, because that would either be the Bash at the Beach or the New Blood Rising shows, which are the ones that follow these ones.
Okay, so he wants us to watch it because it has the worst rating on Cage Match.
Oh, like worst pay-per-view of all time kind of thing?
Oh, that shocks me because I definitely think New Blood Rising is a worse show.
You know what? That
one.
reminds me. That reminds me of something. I was on the True Heel Heat review for Crown Jewel, and SP3 was like, "Yeah, I was close to saying it was the worst show I've seen all year," and I was like, "Brother, this ain't even the worst show I've seen all week." Like I watch everything, which means even the Saudi show from WWE is going to be better than NWA Power or whatever or like whatever Ring of Honor decides to put out that week. Like, I think we need to establish realistic bases again.
Try to see if I can find any stuff on here from. So let's see. Go to. Just see where you find it on like the Cage Match thing.
Generally,
So where.
Ash, if you're still in here, Guy123, anyone watching, let us know how you feeling after this. This is kind of a shoot the shit podcast. How you guys feeling? How you feeling, Tony?
And to answer guest 5's question of LOL, you good? No.
I mean,
no.
It's interesting. So I've just been checking to see because there's on the Cage Match thing they have a what's called the Flop 100, which is like the worst rated shows they've got on this entire thing. And guess what the worst rated show they've got on this entire thing is? Don't check it. Like, what do you think is the worst rated show?
WCW or is it like any wrestling company?
I'm gonna guess
any wrestling company.
I'm gonna guess
it's a WWE
show, and I'm gonna guess it's the Crown Jewel that we said sucked.
That one is 9th on the list because that's Crown Jewel 2018. But I'll tell you now.
Into my head was December to Dismember, but then I was thinking maybe WrestleMania 32.
So December to Dismember is 22nd on the list.
Wow.
And I'm going to find WrestleMania 32 on here to see if it is on there.
Was it 32 or 34? Which was the really, really shitty ones? That was 32, right?
32 is one of the worst ones, yeah. But there's no WrestleMania on this list at all.
Wow.
That's good.
Because the lowest ranked showing, the highest ranked show, this is the 100th ranked show in this one, is rated 2.29 out of 10. So the lowest ranked show is rated 0.22 out of 10. I'll say it's not
like Smackville or like
well, I'll tell you it's not. It's not a pay-per-view show. It's an episode of TV.
Oh, okay.
It's an episode of TV.
I mean, would they go so far as to put it as like the tribute show to Benoit?
Oh no, it's not that. It's so the lowest ranked show. So you won't guess the exact show, but what the exact episode is. But it is an episode of NXT from 2010, Series 3, Episode 4.
Which means it was the women's.
This is the Divas. Yeah, this is the women's season.
Which means I wonder if this is the where Michael Cole gets the gong.
I fucking loved that. I thought that was fantastic.
Now that I'm looking at this Flop 100, there's a lot of TV shows on here, which is a little ridiculous. Like, okay, so number 2 is Heroes of Wrestling, which is, listen, pal, you earn it, then you earn it.
I'm checking this NXT one because I can't. It doesn't actually say what the results of the show is, but there's actually a reason why. I just found out why it doesn't show. There were no matches on this episode of NXT.
No fucking way.
There were only 2 contests. It was just 2 contests.
Well, that explains it.
What were the contests?
I don't know. The only review this is in German on the Cage Match thing, so I can't translate it. I'd have to double check it.
NXT.
So it's from the 21st of September 2010. There might have been a match on it, but like it doesn't mention any matches on it because you just got a card and it just shows the time it is. So I assume that there weren't any matches on it, and I just saw some of the comments about it. So I don't have nothing to say about this. A wrestling show that didn't show wrestling, 0 out of 10, definitely. 45 Minutes of My Life will fortunately not be getting back. How they think producing a wrestling show inside of a wrestling ring in front of wrestling fans but not having a single bit of grappling was a good idea. The only real positive was the commentary team burying the show for the entire duration.
That was the best part of that whole thing, was them just completely taking the piss out of everything on this show.
So September 21st, 2010.
Yes.
On ProWrestling.fandom, they've got 2 matches listed. AJ defeated Maxine. Jamie Kelly and Naomi defeated Caitlyn and Lake Cool.
That's when it was taped. Check the 28th episode, 28th September episode. The following week's one.
Oh yeah, okay. That does have no matches listed at all.
That's so wild.
Zero matches on a wrestling show. No wonder that's the lowest one, because it kind of deserves it, because that's like, at least Heroes of Wrestling was terrible, but you saw wrestling on it. So I'm checking that the third rate one is a WCW Thunder episode from 2000. So you have, I'm looking at these ones. So you have the Cat defeated Bam Bam Bigelow in 1 minute and 8 seconds. The Cat is Ernest the Cat Miller, by the way. Chris Kanyon defeated Sean Stasiak in 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Billy Kid defeated Horace Hogan in 5 minutes and 34 seconds. Sting defeated The Wall in a tables match in 1 minute and 20 seconds. Paisley, who I believe was
Sharmell?
That's Queen Sharmell, yeah. Defeated Tammy Lee Lynch, which is Sunny, obviously, in 3 minutes and 22 seconds. Mike Awesome defeated Booker T in 5 minutes and 11 seconds. And then David Arquette and Diamond Dallas Page defeated Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett to crown David Arquette as the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. So yeah, that's a pretty bad show.
Like, there have been some, and that's my point. There's been some absolute garbage in recent wrestling history, and I think sometimes people forget how bad it can actually be.
Yeah. What do you think is the worst rated pay-per-view for WWE? Because like Crown Jewel is the second worst rated pay-per-view for WWE. There's one that's rated worse than that. It is another Saudi show.
Greatest Royal Rumble?
Nope.
I know what it is. I was looking at the list.
Yeah.
Is the one with Taker and Goldberg?
No.
The Taker, Kane, Triple H.
No,
no, you're forgetting what makes people angry.
I mean, Tony got angry when Braun Strowman didn't win the title.
Blanking on like some of the other things that have happened over the years.
Think about the show where Goldberg defeated The Fiend in less than 3 minutes.
Is that like a Super Showdown, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, Super Showdown 2020. So the last show before the pandemic, actually.
All these shows are here to stay.
Yeah. So that was the Undertaker winning that 2-8 trophy in the Gauntlet match.
Just to set up the match with AJ.
Yeah. Then you had John Morrison and The Miz defeat the New Day for the SmackDown tag team titles. That's about when they're calling the SmackDown tag team titles again. That was like, it feels weird now, even though it was only like less than a year ago, but still.
Less than a year removed, yeah.
Yeah. Angel Garza defeated Humberto Carrillo. Why would they have a singles match on this show?
They fought like 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, and then became tag team. So Murphy and Seth Rollins as the Raw tag team champions defeating the Street Profits.
Yep.
That was back with the Mansoor thing. Mansoor versus Dolph Ziggler, or defeated Dolph Ziggler. Brock Lesnar defeated Ricochet in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns defeated King Corbin in a steel cage match.
In less than 30 minutes.
Sounds like a winning pay-per-view.
Bayley defeated Naomi for the SmackDown Women's, to retain the SmackDown Women's title, and then Goldberg defeated The Fiend for the Universal Championship in one of 2 title changes on the show. But yeah, this was a wretched show. I don't know if I watched it because I wasn't watching the Saudi shows. I don't think at that point.
You can't tell me that. Again, this shit was way worse.
So I
I
looked
just
up
then
somebody's review of the September 28th, 2010
yeah,
episode of NXT.
yeah.
This is Mike Tedesco from WrestleView. He labeled clearly was not liking this at the time. Labeled it the Michael Cole Show, aka WWE NXT. A video recaps last week's competitions, and the competitions are in quotation marks. Why they wanted to recap the ridiculous musical chairs and talk the talk challenges is beyond me. This show is so bad and it's ridiculous. The Josh Matthews starts off arguing that CM Punk should be there and not Michael Cole. Then they realize they're on the air and they welcome us to the show. Matt Stryker's on the stage. He introduces the rookie divas. Tomorrow you can vote for your favorite diva. Stryker walks up to a wheelbarrow that's behind a yellow line and announces the wheelbarrow challenge. Michael Cole simply says, "Wow." The objective is to race the wheelbarrow around the ring. Whoever does it in the fastest time is the winner. The catch is that Hornswoggle is in the wheelbarrow. I can't make this crap up. Matthews, the things that happen on the show amaze me. Cole, what does this have to do with wrestling?
By the way, this show is available in full on the W YouTube channel.
I mean, I remember watching these things and all. Maxine gets Hornswoggle across the line, dumps him out. Hornswoggle then bites her on the rear end. Stryker yells, "Bad." And Michael Cole says, "That's this show. Bad, bad, bad." He is hilarious. Cole, quote, "This show is the cure for insomnia. This is some bad television. I don't even need to be here. I quit this show 2 weeks ago." Caitlin's announced the winner. She got it in 12 seconds. Hornswoggle puts Caitlin on his shoulders. I didn't know he was that sturdy. Go through the rest of the stuff. Some other video packages. Raw Rebound. Video
Yeah,
package.
there's like Raw
Rebound. Like
I
one after
skimmed
another.
through it. There's 2 contests, a bunch of video packages, and a recap of Kane's feud with Taker on SmackDown and whatever's happening on Raw. This is bad.
The Caitlyn does an impersonation of Naomi's ass. It's like, am I reading that right?
That's so funny.
This Mike Tedesco quits doing the NXT thing on this episode. It says, if you haven't heard by now, this is my final recap of NXT. If they get picked up by another network and decide to actually make the show watchable again, I might be returning to recap it. Though as it looks, neither of those options seems feasible.
Is that why this show sucks? Because this is when they're pulled off of Sci-Fi, and this is just a show for the .com?
It might be.
That might make more sense.
I don't know if it says.
That's so funny.
Where they were broadcasting it, but yeah. Kind of want to.
That is so funny.
They should just.
I was just looking at some. I was looking at some of the other shows as well that were like rated in like the bottom 10. And I'm just saying, like, it's amazing how many shows WWE seems to put on at this sort of period of time, or like in any of this sort of time frame. It's just like because 2 of the shows are in the top bottom 10 are an episode of Superstars and an episode of Main Event. I think, well, how could they be that bad? But then just like going on to it, on the Main Event show, there was one match, which was Ryback versus Fandango, that went 6 minutes in 2016. So on one episode of Main Event, which I assume was, it must have been an hour-long show at that point. It was only had one 6-minute match on it, and then probably a bunch of recaps. And then the other one is an episode of Superstars from 2013, where the only match on it again, one match, The Great Khali versus JTG. I imagine that was only probably a 30-minute show with
the worldwide
commentary by
leader
Matt Striker.
With
this commentary by Matt Striker and this guy called Tony Dawson, who I've never ever heard of.
Never heard of.
Yeah, Google him. Tony Dawson, commentator.
But so apparently he had 2 names of it. Like, he had Tony Dawson and then Tony Luffman. So that's probably in some other promotion somewhere. But like, I've never ever heard of him.
He doesn't look the slightest bit familiar.
No.
It seems like
that was just
on WWE Active. That was the name of a show.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I obviously see pictures of him with Oksana, so that goes to show you how.
And then there's an NXT from 2011, which, like, again, only had one match on it: Byron Saxton, Conor O'Brien, and Titus O'Neil versus Darren Young, Jake Novak, and Lucky Cannon.
Damn right it did.
Like from the season 5, so I presumably this was the start of the redemption, or before the redemption series started taking place. In terms of like pay-per-views and stuff like that, you've got like, so the lowest obviously is for WWE is Super Showdown, then you have Crown Jewel 2018, then King of the Ring 1995.
Hey, we watched that.
Which I assume is the Mabel. It's
the Mabel one.
Yeah. Then you've got Super Showdown 2019, December to December 2006. I'm not counting the kickoff shows they've got on here because that's not full pre-shows they've got on this, because that doesn't seem to be as fair. But see any other big shows that are on this one. TNA Victory Road 2011, so that's the Sting one with Jeff Hardy being drunk. Not many big WWE shows, so I guess that's something to put in a feather in their cap for. Starrcade 2019. So that was one of the things that they were just doing, like one of those like house show loop things.
I think it was like a steel cage match, I think.
With AJ and someone, I feel like, in the steel cage.
Yeah, there's another big there's another big WWE like pay-per-views on this outside of the ones that I just mentioned. So that's fairly good going. At least every other pay-per-view they've done is at least a 2.3 or higher on the scale.
By the way, I looked it up. That episode of NXT was not the first on .com. It was the last on the Sci-Fi Network. And moving forward, they wouldn't be on anything.
I remember that redemption thing being atrocious stuff too, and
like sometimes I think it'd be fun to go back and look at this shit just because these are real things that happen. That like it happened in front of big crowds that no one remembers.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'll be able to survive the old format of NXT. Even the first series, because even though there were good people and they ended up having good careers off the back of it, it's like, I don't know if I could stand all the challenges and that stuff. That would just make my skin crawl a bit.
You know what? Like, I could see myself enjoying a show like that with some tweaks, but it would have to be something that's treated entirely separately. Like, if they did a show and they brought back that name like Stomping Grounds, or they brought back like a Tough Enough thing or something, and they did the NIL athletes and they showed them doing like the combine things and all, like, I could see myself being interested in that show. I just don't want a show where they'd go, okay, you have to pretend to be a character and also learn on screen doing that. And then you blur the lines too much of like, why are we doing a variety show attempt at that? Because this didn't help out anybody when they were doing these things. Like, dude, Wade Barrett didn't become Wade Barrett because of NXT, and AJ Lee wasn't doing anything great. She was just, I'm gonna do a strip tease for Primo or something, and it's like, okay, well, now that you're on the roster, now you can actually do stuff and start to make an impression. But I'd be probably down to watch a show that would be like WWE people competing in a American Gladiators type of scenario or whatever. I could watch that. Just not the way they
You did recently watch Guts.
Yeah, I needed to watch some old school thing to make me go back in time. And I have been wanting to watch the Nickelodeon toy sweep, supermarket sweep thing, but I haven't. American Gladiators is a fun show. Anybody didn't check out that documentary, check that out. That's a fun documentary too.
Really good documentary on Netflix.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't know about any other hot tags.
We're good. We've bullshitted for 3 hours,
like 2 hours or something. Yeah. So I don't know when you guys are going to hear from us next. I don't know what capacity that'll be, if you will at all. go back and check out that What If. That was fun. We were happier then. Time Machine Dream Team stuff that's out there. Check out the Pay-Per-Viewpoint. I was still in better spirits on Saturday during the Pay-Per-Viewpoint. And they got the Discord. If you want to save space to talk about whatever stuff in there, you can. This marketplace stuff that's not changed. Show your support if you can. But not only for me and all that, but for everybody else, like, be good. And I don't really feel like plugging that. You know what it is. I'll put the fantasy league thing up here. Callum, do you want to give us any kind of updates on how that went down and stuff?
Oh, I never did. I never switched to anybody. I'll leave it as it is. I'll leave it as it is. Listen, Hikuleo will show up eventually. I'll get my points.
Well, you got to drop somebody, right?
Yeah.
No,
So
I dropped somebody on your team.
no, you dropped us. Yeah.
Who did I
Yeah.
drop?
So what essentially happened is, but as it happened, so Tony won the predictions again. So he got to eliminate people from both mine and Rob's team. So he eliminated Alex Shelley from Rob's team, and who was the one that went off my team? It was, I believe, Sami Zayn was the guy that was cut out of my team. So yeah, like yeah. So it's a case of Tony's made some trades. He's brought in Zarya into his team as well. He's moved Roman Reigns up into his protected picks as well. So, and yeah, eventually I'll make the one trade that I can make as well. I need to get rid of some people from. Realistically want to get rid of more people from my team because not many of them are scoring points at the moment. But
so, as I look at the board now, I'll make only one trade, and I'll bet that this person will show up. But I'll trade out Paul Tonga for Jimmy Uso. For some reason, he's still pick-upable. And
I think Jimmy Uso's on somebody's team.
No,
I have Jey Uso. Yeah, I have Jey Uso. And you don't have Jimmy on your team, so.
Wasn't Jimmy? I think Jimmy was listed as somebody on when I was looking at it the other time because I would have probably picked him up.
Yeah, that's it. I thought it was weird that he was.
He's not on anyone's team.
So I win. Haha, suck it.
Yeah, he's free on the men's board.
Yeah, maybe I was just not looking at it.
As I Jay's mine.
Hold on.
Was my choice.
Hold on. One more thing, because this thing says Liv Morgan is free. Is she free?
Yeah. Yeah, she
I'm gonna swap out Charlotte for Liv Morgan.
Yeah, so we don't really pick because we just assume that she's going to lose the title pretty soon. Now she's probably not going to. So
I'll take Liv Morgan then. All right, good fight. I think that's right. We probably thought she was just going to drop it to Ripley, and she didn't.
I mean, if that's the case, then I'm probably going to drop. Who should I drop? It depends on when Drew's coming back, but I have no idea when that's going to be. But I guess at the moment he's the one that's probably not going to score me any points. At the moment he's just going to lose points, so I'll drop him and put Io Sky in. If she wins the world title, then that's good. So,
I mean, she'll probably
those are the
a
updates.
match or two heading up to that.
Yeah.
So those Liv Morgan.
So those are the updates then. So our teams are fully up to speed. So if you want to check out what our teams look like and the points and all that stuff, you can head on over to the www.fantasyleague.com or find it through the Smark website and just see all the latest standings there.
And anything else plug wise? Like I said, I don't really feel like plugging them, but you'll find stuff if they pop up at amangotree.com. You know where to go. You know where to follow me.
Yeah, and I echo the you know where to go, you know where to follow me. I will say thanks to Ash, thanks to the guy 123, thanks for guest 5 popping in. We appreciate that stuff, guys. Now more than ever.
And
Yep, just for the same.
yeah, follow us all over the place and the normal things. Stay tuned for something. I didn't have a plan for this next week, even before everything turned to hell. And I had written down like maybe trying to do some sort of build a wrestler thing where we like build the perfect superstar for different archetypes, and we go like, okay, well, let's make our ultimate big man, and we got to take the look of somebody and the uh promo skills and the mic skills, and then I was like, I don't really know how to formulate that idea, because ultimately a podcast needs to be a discussion, not just like a visual aid of like a spreadsheet.
I mean, we would obviously discuss why we're taking the elements of
Yeah, but it's
why
like it
and
almost kind of reads to me more as like a TikTok video where you have like those little filters and they like randomize like 5 names and you got to like pick the elements, and like that seems kind of more like one of those. That's not really a podcast, it's more of a TikTok video, and I'm not going to start doing TikTok videos, especially not now when the platform's probably going to get taken away in 2 months. But yeah, like I don't know. I have a note about Camp Cornette on here. What's Camp Cornette doing on here?
Are you just really excited about Vader and Owen Hart and the British Bulldog?
I guess I had a note from last year that said fantasy booking Ultimate Survivor Series with super group 5-man teams like the Click, HBK, Triple H, Razor, Nash, Waltman,
And like Camp Cornette,
Hart Foundation, Ministry of Darkness. And then I just wrote down like a bunch of hyphens, and I wrote down Camp Cornette ? Horsewomen ? Edge Orton ? What else? And then I also wrote down Raw versus SmackDown champions comparison. What if WWF against WCW champion back in the day? So that's kind of what we did the other day, actually. I guess I had figured Camp Cornette would be something I would want to explore and do some. I don't know. That's okay. Well, past Tony, you should have left a better note. I don't know. There is a part of me that wants to just sort of fade into, let me pretend like everything's okay and try to have fun. There is a part of me that wants to fade into the morning light.
All right, sign off before you get too bleak.
I mean, that's happening no matter what. But
yeah, I mean, yes, but you don't need to do it on air.
Yeah, no, everybody, like, full transparency, I don't really know what's happening. I don't know what's happening to the country. I don't know what's happening in my personal life. I don't know what's happening with a lot of things. And I don't want to make any promises about anything going forward about, like, next episode, we're going to do something, whatever. Because I don't really even know what I'm doing minute to minute. Even at the beginning of this podcast, I had better news of what I've gotten during this podcast. And now I'm upset about that too. So, we're going to see what happens. We're going to fly by the seat of our pants, moment to moment. If you really have something to say about the podcast going forward, if you really want to, like, let me send a message real quick. Okay. Reassure that person that way. If it means something to you, let me know. Let us know. That stuff helps out quite a bit. If it is something that is helpful for you, let us know that too. Try to be in service that way. If you are like, I kind of want to sit in the doom and gloom with you guys, then keep that in mind. Maybe we'll, maybe I'll spin off something and do something. Maybe I'll bring back the All Talk Show, for all I fucking care, and do that just as like a therapeutic thing or something. Or maybe we'll find ourselves in a week being like, the only thing we can do is just try to act like we did a couple weeks ago. Maybe things will be absolutely terrible in no time and we won't be around anymore. I don't really know. Point is, voice your opinions. Let everybody know. Let everybody know everything that you want them to know in general in life. Like, I've had many discussions about that over the past few days, and everybody agrees, but everybody forgets about that. So keep in mind, be kind to each other. Don't be kind to certain people. They don't fucking deserve it. Let them roost and, sit in their own shit. And keep in mind a phrase that I'm sure I'm going to be saying a lot over maybe a long time frame. It's not your lesson to learn. So I hope to have some positive stuff to send your way in some kind of episode coming up next week. Maybe it's a main event. Maybe it's just a round of the hot tags. Maybe it's a thing like this. Maybe it's me recording some kind of thing in the middle of the night where I fantasy book a pay-per-view based off of names of people that have something to do with food, and it's like meat versus that Cappuccino Jones and stuff. I don't know. That's why this is labeled the I Don't Know episode. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining the live. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything along those lines. Follow us, like us, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time, everyone. Maybe. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.